In this episode of Trickle Down Economics, we look at the rules that are applied to ensure that the ideology of trickle down economics usually ends up benefiting only the corporations and their shareholders. But first,
excessive taxation of individuals has robbed us of incentive and made overtime unprofitable.
remember how we saw in a previous video Reagan from years gone by telling us we needed to change tax incentives?
We can create the incentives which take advantage of the genius of our economic system. A system, as Walter Lippmann observed more than 40 years ago, which for the first time in history gave men, quote, a way of producing wealth in which the good fortune of others multiplied their own, unquote.
Basically, he was talking about trickle-down economics. Cut tax for the rich and all in society will benefit. Well, that was the idea. So here's Elizabeth Warren explaining the rules and regulations that are stripped to pave the way for trickle-down economics.
Trickle-down policies are actually pretty simple. First, fire the cops. Not the cops on Main Street, the cops on Wall Street. Pretty much the whole Republican Party, and if we're going to be honest, too many Democrats, have talked about the evils of big government and called for deregulation. And it all sounded good. But what it was really about was tying the hands of regulators and turning loose big banks and giant international corporations to do whatever they wanted to do. Turning them loose to rig the market and reduce competition. Turning them loose to outsource more jobs. Turning them loose to load up on more risks and then hide behind taxpayer guarantees, turning them loose to sell more mortgages and more credit cards that cheated American families. In short, turning them loose to do whatever juiced short-term profits, even if it came at the expense of working families. Now, trickle down had a second part to it, and that is cut taxes for those at the top. Cut them when times are good, cut them when times are bad. And when that meant there was less money for road repairs, less money for medical research, and less money for schools, and that our government would need to squeeze kids on student loans, trickle-down advocates said, so be it. And look at the results. The top 10% got all the growth in income over the past 30 years, all of it. And the economy stopped working for everyone else. The trickle-down experiment that began in the Reagan years failed America's middle class. Sure, the rich are doing great, giant corporations are doing great, lobbyists are doing great, but we need an economy where everyone else has a shot to do great.
And don't forget how we saw Bernie Sanders with this graph which shows how trickle-down economics has failed to enrich those at the bottom of society, only putting money into the pockets of the wealthy where it stays.
Whoa! What happens in 1982? Well, Ronald Reagan is president, and the good news is we are into trickle-down economics. And here it is. And this chart tells it all. This is what the top 10% got. This is what the bottom 90% got. And here we are in the last number here, where we are today. And lo and behold, the top 10% gets it all. Gets it all.
Click here to see Bernie tell a voter why trickle-down economics doesn't work.